Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is actually the start of the second half of the organisms unit, and this is all about the human body and the human body systems. It's probably one of my favorite parts of the year. You do a lot of really cool activities during this. So we're going to get started, and the first system we're going to take a look at is the skeletal system. Alright, so we're going through just some very basic vocabulary. That's how most of these are going to go. When you're in class, we'll be going through the application process of applying these, identifying where these parts are, and a whole bunch of other stuff as you go through engineering activities and things like that. So, start off with the functions of the skeletal system. So, the skeletal system mainly is going to provide shape and support for your body. Okay, it's also going to protect your internal organs. It's going to store fat and minerals. And I know most of you think that fat is stored other places, mainly the stomach, but your bones do store fat as well. Your bones are also responsible for producing your different blood cells. Okay, so we'll talk about blood cells as well. And without the skeletal system, you wouldn't be able to move. So this allows for movement as well. Alright, so those are your main functions. You will have to know these. So these are the 5. So that's how basically it's going to go for all the body systems we do. We'll start out with some functions, and then we'll get into different parts and vocabulary terms that you'll need. This is a very heavy vocabulary unit. So it's going to be really important for you to look over these videos, or at least review your notes on a nightly basis to make sure you understand everything and you know how to say the words and pronounce everything and you know their meanings. Alright, so first thing we talk about is cartilage. Cartilage is a flexible tissue that acts as a cushion in between your bones. So if you were to take your knuckles, make fists on both hands, and the knuckles on your hand, if you were to rub them together, that's kind of what it would feel like every time you moved one of your joints and you didn't have cartilage. Alright, so it wouldn't feel too good. So without cartilage, it'd be pretty painful to move. So that allows for smoother movement, acts as that cushion. Ligaments, alright, a lot of people confuse ligaments and tendons. We'll talk about tendons when we get to the muscular system, but ligaments are what's going to hold bone to bone. Okay, so these are found in all your joints. Okay, where the bones meet, that's what's going to hold them together. Alright, the periosteum, that's a tough membrane, and that's going to cover the entire bone except for the very ends, and that's where the cartilage is going to be found. So then you have all different parts of your bone. Okay, so this would all be considered parts of bone. Okay, so you have the periosteum, which is the outermost part. Alright, then you have compact bone, and this is it's the bone layer and without any visible open spaces. Alright, so this is really tough and compact, and most people think this is actually the strongest part because of the term. It's like compact bone, doesn't have spaces, seems like it's very strong, but it's actually not the strongest part. Within the compact bone are the Haversian canals. Okay, these are small canals that run through the compact bone. Alright, and they're gonna carry minerals, blood cells. Okay, really any material from the bone surface to the living cells of the bone. Alright, bones are living materials. Alright, they are living tissues, so that's important to remember as well. Spongy bone, this has many small spaces within it, okay? And it's found within the compact bone. Alright, so this is more towards the middle of the bone itself, and this is where it provides most of the strength and support for your bones. Alright, so the spongy bone is actually the strongest part. Alright, it sounds like it might be weak because sponges, you think of sponges as porous and open and squishy, but actually the spongy bone is where most of the strength and support for bones can be found. Alright, then wrapping it up, you also have red marrow and yellow marrow. Alright, those are also found inside your bones. The red marrow is what's going to produce your blood cells. Okay, can be found in flat bones such as the pelvis and sternum. If you don't know what those are, you will by the end of class. maybe Friday, maybe on Monday, depending on how far we get. And you'll also find at the end of long bones, and we'll identify exactly which bones are long bones. But these are going to produce your red and white blood cells. Okay, and your red blood cells go out to your blood, and the white blood cells are actually stored in your lymph nodes. Okay, and we'll talk about those when we do immunity and things like that. You may have already touched on that in health, so that's something else that we'll talk about as well. The yellow marrow is simply to store fat. Okay, and it can also make blood cells an emergency. So if for some reason you need more blood cells, there's something going on, the yellow marrow will take over and make some of the blood cells. And the yellow marrow is found in the very middle of your long bones. Okay, so again, we'll identify what bones are long when we start learning all the names of all the bones. And then finally, the osteoblasts. These are the actual cells responsible for making bone. And it also deposits minerals within the bones. Right? So these are all the main vocab terms that you'll need to know. We'll learn where all these parts are. You'll learn about all the different bones and the names of them. There's 206 bones in the human body. Okay, and you will have to know the names of quite a few of them. Now remember, you have the same bones on both halves of your body because we have bilateral symmetry. So when we're looking at the names of bones on one side, they're also the same as the other. So even though there's 206 bones, there aren't 206 names of bones. Okay, so that's something to remember. And then one more vocab word that you need to know is a joint, and that is the point where two or more bones meet. So we'll talk about joints as well and the different types of joints. There are quite a few different types of joints, so you'll be exploring those. We do have several engineering projects in this particular unit after we kind of learn the bones and the bone names and things like that. And then we will go ahead and move on. The next system we'll be doing is the muscular system. The skeletal system takes about a week or so, maybe a little bit more with the engineering projects to go through. So I will leave this at that. This is due on Friday, the 27th. Okay, so make sure you do that. Get this finished, and I will see you then. All right, bye.